Hello everyone, welcome back to my astrology channel. This is Aparna, your astrologer. Now today I will be talking about the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus on the 8th of November 2022. So this full moon in the sign of Taurus will be opposite the sun in the sign of Scorpio, and is part of the Taurus Scorpio eclipses that are started last year and is going to continue into next year as well. So the energy of the Taurus Scorpio eclipse continues this year as well and is very strongly felt during this 8th November eclipse because it's following from the last eclipse, the solar eclipse in the month of October that occurred in the sign of Scorpio. Now, a full moon is a time of culmination. It's a time of fulfillment. It's a time of ending. It's a time of readjustment as well, making changes in order to move forward. Now, as this full moon is connected with the lunar eclipse, which is all about bringing massive changes, it's a very transformative time. And it is also a time of blockages and challenges. But whatever changes come about following these eclipses will be on a solid ground, because because we've gone through so much challenges, so much upheaval, that these eclipses almost nudges us, almost pushes us to make these changes. Now, this eclipse occurs at 16 degrees Taurus. It's roughly 16 degrees Taurus. So if you have got planets or angle at this degree in a fixed sign, especially in that sign of Taurus or Scorpio or any of the fixed signs, Leo and Aquarius as well. Now you can take an orb of 6 to 7 degrees on either side of this degree. So if you've got angles or personal planets or any planets in these degrees, then you will feel the effect of this eclipse even more personally, even more significantly. Now, it is a very busy eclipse because this eclipse, the lunar eclipse, is conjunct several other energies. For example, the moon is connected to the North Node and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, and the sun during this time in the sign of Scorpio is connecting with Venus in the sign of Scorpio, as well as Mercury in the sign of Scorpio. Now, this full moon in Taurus and Scorpio is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. So Saturn squaring the sun and the moon is making the energy of this eclipse even more intense, even more challenging, even more difficult to maneuver. But whenever Saturn touches any energies, whether it's in a challenging aspect or supportive aspect, what it's asking us to do is to move forward, build that foundation through challenges, through overcoming any delays, any limitations, any restrictions. Now, North Node and South Node are also on the Taurus and Scorpio axis. So this is also all about releasing what is not serving us anymore and moving towards what we must embrace in order to bring the change, the growth in our life. So this Taurus Scorpio eclipse is going to be all about bringing stability, security, and not just within ourselves but also our environment. So definitely this is a time to make improvements in the way we deal with ourselves, our value, our attitude towards our self-worth, our financial matters, our resources and all that. So definitely it's a very emotional time, but also a time to make great moves forward. Now I will discuss all the 12 zodiac sign and how the lunar eclipse is going to affect each of the 12 zodiac sign. So let's begin. Aries, for you, the lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus in the month of November occurs in your second house, and the sun will be in the 8th house in the sign of Scorpio. So your second and 8th house energies are emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, a lunar eclipse is a very transformative time. It's a time of great changes, and these changes can be very sudden, very disruptive as well. So here with the second house energy where the full moon is, there's a need to establish a sense of security, self-reliancy, resources, financial well-being, and all that. Now, there may be a need to balance the energies with your own ability to make money or handle resources or manage your finances and even your sense of self-worth, your value system with those of others. So during this time, you're definitely relating with others as well. What is your value system? What are your inner values? That's what you're trying to work during this time. So any efforts that you have been putting in the last 1 year since since the Taurus Scorpio eclipses began, especially in the financial matters, your money matters and all that, must have felt more challenging with more blockages and all that. But definitely in due time, in due course, you will see the rewards of all your hard work, because any effort that you have been putting, especially in the last 6 months, you will definitely see some hidden value, some hidden outcome coming out, in due course of time. Now, lunar eclipses, which are accompanied with full moon, is all about revelation, realization, culmination as well. So there may be an old way of thinking about your resources or finances that may come to an end. It could be just your own mindset, your own attitude towards it. Now, this lunar eclipse, this full moon, is squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your 11th house, which is the house of your social environment, collaboration, your future plans, your hopes and wishes, your any group work that you're involved in. Now, Saturn will also be squaring Venus, Mercury, and the nodes along with the sun and the moon. So here definitely your own values, your inner values, will be the driving force for any changes, any transformation that you want to bring about in your life. There may be some negative thinking or misinterpretation or miscommunication or confusion regarding where you want to head, where you want to move forward from here. But definitely, this Saturn energy is going to give you that base, the solid base, in order to make those changes. Now, it is a square aspect. So, Saturn in a square aspect can definitely highlight any conflicting drives, because you have North Node and South Node in Taurus and Scorpio in your second and eighth house. So, there may be some kind of conflicting energy regarding your own value system and comparing it and relating it with other people. So, Saturn will definitely break down any, past structures in your financial issues that doesn't serve you or help you any longer. So, definitely with this second and eighth house energy, there's a need to bring about changes through breaking down any structures in your financial matters, in your resources, and also your own sense of self-worth, your own value system, your own sense of stability and all that, in order to create a better version of yourself going forward, Aries. Taurus, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your sign, in your first house. So it's going to be a lot about yourself, your own self image, your own life path, your own priorities, your own destiny, how you see yourself. So during this full moon lunar eclipse, the sun is in the sign of Scorpio in your seventh house. So your first house and seventh house energies are emphasized. So the focus is a lot on how you balance yourself with people in your life in terms of significant others, important relationship, personal relationship, and all that. So your own personal qualities with that of others. So so full moon is anyways a very emotional time, but with this eclipse on your first and seventh house, it's going to be even more intense where relationship is concerned, other people's energy in your life is concerned, balancing your own needs with that of others. So there may be power issues, sharing issues, balance issues during this time, especially starting last year in the month of November 2021, when the lunar eclipse occurred in the sign of Taurus. Now, this energy will continue until next year, until October, when the last eclipse on this Taurus Scorpio axis occurs. But this lunar eclipse in November is a time of culmination, ending, and it is a very deeply transformative time as well, Taurus, because it's occurring in your first house. And first house is all about yourself, how you see yourself, your own priorities, how you project yourself, your own mindset, and also your overall health, how you, take care of yourself, your own well-being and all that. So that's where the deep transformation is occurring for you. Now, if you committed to, any personal growth or improving any personal qualities in the last 6 months, you will see some kind of changes or need for adjustment following this lunar eclipse, because lunar eclipse is all about revelation, realization. So something important will come to light that you will have to, adjust and make changes in your sense of self, your own needs and balancing it with others. Now the focus is definitely more on yourself, because the North Node is in the sign of Taurus in your first house. So this personal growth, the change that you're implementing, is a lot focused on yourself. So if there are any negative energies, any blocking or restricting energies coming from other people, this is the time to review it and make adjustments going forward. Now this full moon in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio is accompanied with other energies, other planetary energies. There's Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio along with the sun in a very close conjunction, and North Node and Uranus in the sign of Taurus very close to the moon, the full moon. So these energies are amplifying and making sun and moon, the full moon, the lunar eclipse even more intense. Now all these Taurus and Scorpio planetary energies during this lunar eclipse is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. So Saturn is in your 10th house in the sign of Aquarius, in your career house. So all these energies is being squared by your career matters, your professional matters, your reputation, your public image. So how you are being perceived by external forces, by outside, is affecting yourself, your sense of self and relationship. Now there may be some sort of limitations, restriction in your sense of self or relationship or career matters, or maybe yourself, the way you are projecting yourself is affecting your career, or the way you want to be perceived, or the career opportunities you want to take on is having an effect on your relationship or your own self as well. You're not able to move forward because of the Saturn squaring the North Node as well in your first house. Now North Node is all about moving forward, growing and learning those qualities. Now with this Saturn squaring your Taurus energies, there is definitely a need to break down any old ego structures in your sense of self, how you see yourself, how you project yourself, especially the ones that don't serve you anymore, is not helpful anymore to grow you. And this is very important to do that in order to move forward. Saturn is also squaring Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio along with the sun. So here again, your inner values in relationship, what is your driving force, all that is definitely what you need to balance. And maybe these are the energy that's feeling restricted. You're not able to make any progress in your sense of self, in your relationship, and all that. Now, Mercury is also being squared by Saturn during this time. So there may be confusion or negative thinking, or, maybe communication issues in relationship that is causing further upheaval. So definitely there's a need to break down any old ways of thinking about yourself, how you perceive yourself, how you project yourself, in order to bring these long lasting changes, make your foundation more stronger. With this Uranus in the first house as well, which is very much about making sudden changes and really freeing kind of changes. So this is a time with this lunar eclipse to really let go of old ways of how you see yourself and create a better version of yourself going forward, Taurus. Geminis, for you, the November lunar eclipse on the 8th of November occurs in your 12th house. Now, the sun in the sign of Scorpio will be in your 6th house. So, the 12th house and 6th house energies are emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, 12th house is the house of your subconscious self, your past patterns, old habits, your need for spiritual advancement, and also the need to surrender to the energies of the universe, let things flow a little bit. Now the sun is in the 6th house, which is all about structuring your life. It's about your routines, it's about your work and health matters. So this is what is being emphasis. So this is the energy that's emphasized during this eclipse season. Now the Taurus Scorpio eclipses began last year in the year 2021 and will continue over to next year in 2023. So there is deep transformation, deep changes occurring in these matters for you, Gemini. So definitely it's a very emotional time. It's also a time to release any old patterns, past habits, past subconscious limiting patterns, self-deceiving, self-limiting patterns that is holding yourself back. Now, this is also time to have some boundaries, have some limitations if you have been giving yourself too much to other people. And this can be in daily life, in work, in just, people around you in your daily environment. So definitely there's a need to, establish a little bit more stronger sense of self, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, and also, retreating, taking a break if things become overwhelming, Geminis. So definitely with these eclipses occurring on your 12th house and 6th house energies, this is a time you must have turned a lot inwards, or there's a need to turn inwards if you haven't turned inward, or you're not listening to your intuition. So definitely there's an emotional need here to, trust yourself, listen to your intuition, the messages that you're receiving from within yourself. That's what you are focusing on during this time. And also listen to your physical body as well, not just the emotional needs. It's also important to focus on your health, your mental health, your physical health, and all that. So definitely this eclipses may be bringing blockages in these areas. You may be wanting to make movement in these areas, but your daily structure, your work, health, your routine, other commitments, work commitments, and all that may be holding you back from making these changes. But this lunar eclipse is all about ending. So this lunar eclipse is going to bring revelation, realization, how to make these changes, the adjustment that you need to make in your life. This lunar eclipse is going to highlight all that. Now, the sun and moon in the Taurus and Scorpio axis is accompanied with other energies, the planetary energies. For example, sun in the sign of Scorpio is conjunct Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio during this lunar eclipse, and moon in the sign of Taurus is together with Uranus and North Node. So these energies makes the eclipse even more intense. Now, all these energies are being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, which is in your ninth house. Now, ninth house is the house of, the larger viewpoint, the belief system, philosophies, your own personal self, your own perception, other people's perception as well, the need for adventure, the need to try something new. So here again, there may be some kind of limitation, restrictions in exploring freely, in doing things that you want to do. So here you may be limiting your viewpoint, or not completely being open to other people's viewpoint. You may be limiting yourself, and this can be willingly or unwillingly, if you're not getting opportunity to open your mind or travel and learn, and listen to other people and connect with other people, new encounters, new experiences. Then that can be a limiting energy on your own self, on your own well-being, on your own advancement. And this is both physical, spiritual, material, emotional, all kind of advancement. It can be limited if there is a limiting energy in the ninth house. So definitely Saturn squaring all these Taurus and Scorpio energies is about coming to terms with the conflicting energy, the conflicting drives of 12th and 6th house, which is about retreating and freeing yourself from the daily stresses of life, but also being stuck with the daily routine, daily energies of work and health. So you're trying to find a balance with these, both the energies of 12th and 6th house. Now, Saturn is squaring Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio during this time. So definitely this is a time to make your own inner values the driving force for whatever you want to put out in the world during this time. So definitely do follow what your personal values are, where you see the worth of doing something. Now, with the Saturn squaring Mercury in your 6th house, there can be some kind of negative thinking or confusion as well around your 6th house matter, which is work, health, your daily routine, and all that. And that may be holding you back from making any progress towards your advancement, well-being, spiritual advancement, having more time to yourself. Maybe you are too much tied up with your 6th house energy, too much work you're committed to, and that is not giving you enough free time to focus on your own well-being. So definitely there's a need to release old structures, old ways of thinking about your advancement, about your spiritual side, and really break down any kind of limiting patterns, because 12th house is also self-undoing, self-limiting, self-deceiving patterns. So that's what you're releasing, any old subconscious self, old habits as well, old people, situation, places, and all that. So especially the ones that are not serving you anymore. And this is very important to do that in order to create a better version of yourself, better opportunities, more advancement, more growth, spiritually, emotionally, physically, in all ways possible, Geminis. Cancer, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your 11th house. Now, the sun will be in the sign of Scorpio in the 5th house. So, the Taurus Scorpio axis is the 11th and 5th house for you, Cancer. Now, that's where the emphasis is. Now, since this eclipse began, the eclipse season began last year on the Taurus Scorpio axis, the emphasis is a lot on your collaboration, your social setting, your organizational work, teamwork, group work, your future plans, hopes and wishes, and all that. So definitely you want to make movement, you want to belong to a group, you want to connect with new people, new encounters, new group activities, and all that. So definitely there's an emotional need to connect with the 11th house energy. Now, Sun is in the sign of Scorpio in your 5th house, which is all about the ego self, your own self expression. It's about individual expression. 11th house is about group expression, being part of the group. And 5th house is about your own passions, your own interest, your own, qualities, your own talents, and all that. So that's where there's a need to find harmony, find balance during this eclipse season since last year, and this energy continues into next year as well. The last eclipse on the Taurus Scorpio axis being in October 2023. So definitely there's emotional need to connect with organizational work, other people, group work, teamwork, show your creative side in a group setup. So definitely you are very much focused on that. Now this can bring changes in group setup as well. Maybe you're releasing old groups, old association, and connecting with new one because the old one doesn't serve you anymore. So definitely you are moving towards new grounds, new encounters, new opportunities, and you have new plans, new future plans as well, new hopes and wishes as well going forward. So during this time you're definitely leaving your self-expression, your own individual interest aside, and you're more focused on what you can achieve as a group, coming together in a collaboration and all that. Now, this full moon in the sign of Taurus Scorpio is accompanied with other planetary energies. For example, in the sign of Scorpio with the sun, there's Venus and Mercury closely conjunct the sun during this time. And in the sign of Taurus with the moon, there is Uranus and North Node. So all these energies are making this lunar eclipse even more intense. This full moon, which is about culmination, ending, realization, revelation, these planetary energies is making it more intense during this time. Now, all these Taurus Scorpio energies, planetary energies, and the full moon, the sun, and all that is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, which is in your 8th house. Now, 8th house is a house of shared values, shared finances, social finance and all that, your intimate bonds, your psychological self and all that. So Saturn here in the 8th house is squaring your plans, your drives, priorities, what you want to achieve what you want to achieve for future in your collaboration, in your group work, in teamwork, in your creative expression, social expression and all that. It's squaring these energies. So there may be conflicting drives during this time relating to other people's values as well, maybe other people's energies. There may be power issues or sharing issues with other people, especially in intimate bonds or people you're closely connected with. That is affecting your decision regarding collaborations and group work and what you should take on and which path you should go. So definitely during this lunar eclipse, any energies that is not serving you anymore, that's not helping you grow anymore, Cancer, there's definitely a need to release those energy. And this can be people, places, situation, habits, whatever that might be, if it's not helping you, or it could be just be your mindset, how you think, how you perceive things as well. So all that needs to be changed. The lunar eclipse brings deep transformation, and this can be through sudden changes in your sense of self, your ego self, your your place in the crowd and all that. So definitely there's a need to find a balance between the conflicting drives that you may be experiencing during this time. Now, Saturn in your eighth house is also squaring Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio in your fifth house of self expression. So, here there's a definitely need to make your own inner values and focus on your own inner values, and let that be the driving force during this time in how you come across in a group activity, in a group work, and all that. Now, there may be negative energies, negative feeling, thoughts, communication, and all that, miscommunication as well, misinterpretation as well, regarding how you are expressing yourself, your own interest, your own passions as well during this time. So definitely there's a need to connect with your own inner value with the Taurus Scorpio axis, which is all about values, your own value and other people's values. Now, Saturn is also squaring the North Node in your 11th house in the sign of Taurus. Now, when Saturn squares the nodes, this is a time to break down any past structure, any past ego structures where collaboration and connecting with other people in terms of work, professional gains, and all that is concerned. So definitely there's a need to break down ego structure in order to bring new opportunities going forward, and also creating a better version of yourself going forward, Cancer. Leos, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your 10th house, and Sun in the sign of Scorpio is in your 4th house. So, your 10th house and 4th house energies is emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, it is a full moon time. It's a lunar eclipse is accompanied with a full moon. So, it's a time of culmination, ending, realization, revelation, and thus making adjustments in order to move forward. So, if there are energies that is not serving you anymore, Leos, this is time to release them, realize, or find another alternative, another way of doing it in order to make progress. Now, there would be endings or changes, deep transformation occurring on this axis, 10th and 4th house axis, which is your career matters and your home and family matters. So you must have experienced blockages, limitations, restrictions as well on this axis. And also, it can be a very disruptive energy with the eclipses. So you must have felt this energy since last year when the Taurus Scorpio eclipses began. And this energy will continue into next year as well, in the year 2023. So definitely there's a lot of deep transformation occurring in your home environment, in your family matters, within your own psyche, your own emotional environment, and also your career matters, the new direction, the life path, whatever you are, your vocation, your place in the world, your reputation. There's changes occurring in these matters. So definitely there's a need to balance, your career priorities, your home priorities, and all that. Now, lunar eclipse is a very emotional time because it's a time of releasing old energies. There's an ending, there's a culmination, there's a revelation as well of where you are and where you need to go. And, the path is illuminated during this time. Now, it may be difficult to take those paths on because there are conflicting energies between your home and family matters and your career matters during this time. But nevertheless, it's important to make that changes. Now, it's very important to see things differently as well. And if we are not able to make any changes, bring about a different kind of mindset, different outlook, different approach, a new perspective to make changes, to understand things differently. And this lunar eclipse will definitely awaken that side of you, Leos, and you will be able to understand your goals, what you want, career goals, career ambition, the success that you want, and how and also balancing it with your family time, your home environment as well. Now, this can also be a time when your home matters in terms of your house matter, real estate is also highlighted. So they could be buying and selling as well, or just redecorating, readjusting your location, or it could be relocating as well. You may be moving away from your current location into a new location, whether permanently or temporarily during this eclipse season. So that is definitely also a possibility. So definitely there's a lot of transformation, deep changes occurring on this axis for you, Leos. Now, this full moon on Taurus and Scorpio axis is accompanied with other planetary energies. So for example, in the sign of Scorpio, along with the sun, there's Venus and Mercury there. And in the sign of Taurus, along with the full moon, there is Uranus and North Node. So there's a lot of intense buildup of energy on this axis, especially during this lunar eclipse in the first week of the month of November. Now, all this planetary energy in Taurus and Scorpio is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your seventh house, in your relationship house. So your angles are activated, Leos. So it's a very intense time, very emotional time. It can be very overwhelming, very tiring time as well, both physically and emotionally. So definitely with the Saturn squaring from the relationship house, from the seventh house, it kind of highlights the conflicting energies of your home matters and your career matters. So what you want to achieve in your home environment and what you want to achieve in your career matters. So there may be a limiting energies from relationship or how you interact with other people that is kind of blocking your growth in your career matters, or what you need to release in your home environment. So there may be some kind of limiting factor over there. Now this Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your seventh house will be squaring Venus and Mercury in your fourth house in the sign of Scorpio. So here there's a need to connect with your inner values, what you see important, what is of value to you, and make that as the driving force in your home environment and family matters to move forward. Now, there can be confusion or negative thinking or miscommunication as well that may not be helping during this time. But again, with this Saturn squaring this energy of 10th and 4th house, it's about making those changes, creating solid foundation for the future. Now, Saturn is also squaring the nodes, North Node being in the 10th house in Taurus and South Node in the 4th house in the sign of Scorpio. So here again, there's a need to break down any old ego structures. And that's what Saturn is asking you to do, that in order to release old energies and moving on to newer ones. So there's a need to, bring in this new growth, new development, new advancement. And definitely all this will help you become a better version of yourself going forward, Leos. Virgos, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your ninth house, and the sun in the sign of Scorpio will be in your third house. So, your ninth house and third house axis is emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, ninth house is the house of your belief system, your philosophy, the larger perspective, world viewpoint. It's the need to learn, to seek truth, seek new philosophies, interact with new people you have not interacted before, new cultures, traveling, connecting with people from distant land. It's also about new opportunities, new adventure, new experiences. Now, third house on the other side is the house of communication, connection, your immediate environment, people around you. So it's a house relating to your immediate life. Now, a full moon lunar eclipse is all about culmination, ending, revelation, realization in your ninth house matter. So that is to do with your learning, your perception, your belief system, your philosophies, your own ethics and moral codes and all that. So here definitely there will be deep transformation, deep changes in your perception, how you see things. There would be a need to learn, there would be need to understand things bigger than you. So definitely it's important to keep an open mind here. Now, with the ninth house and third house energy, it's going to be a lot about communicating, connecting, and creating more awareness. And this can be through traveling or learning. Now, if you're not traveling long distance, it can just be creating awareness, new experiences through online interaction or reading new material, or just keeping your eyes open with your environment. Whatever you experience, whatever you learn, is going to really change your perspective going forward. Now, this eclipse season on Taurus Scorpio axis began in 2021 and will continue on to 2023 until October 2023. So you will see these deep transformation in your perception, in your thinking, your mindset next year as well. So definitely it's a very crucial time where your self is concerned, how you see yourself, your philosophies, your belief system, and all that, Virgo. Now, there will be opportunities for education, even higher education as well, because ninth house relates to higher education. So, definitely, there can be some kind of realization, revelation within yourself to take on new opportunities, new educational opportunities, new learning opportunities. And this doesn't have to be in an educational institution. It can be just within yourself. You're reading more, you're understanding more, you're open to more, taking in more information, more knowledge during this time. Now, this full moon in Taurus Scorpio is connected with other planetary energies. So, for example, there is Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio along with Sun. So, it's very closely conjunct. Now, in the sign of Taurus, there is Uranus and North Node connecting with the full moon. So, both Taurus and Scorpio energies is even more intensified with these planetary energies. Now, all these energies in Taurus and Scorpio is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. Now, that is in your sixth house. So, sixth house energy, which is related to your work, health, your daily routine, your daily structures, daily commitments, is squaring your ninth house and third house energy, which is about, new energies, new adventures, communication, connection, being open minded. So, there may be some kind of restriction due to your daily structure, daily duties, your health, work, your routine, your habits, that may be limiting any opportunities in ninth house and third house matter, which is, traveling, learning, expanding your horizon. So there may be some kind of limiting, restricting energies due to conflicting drives as well in your ninth house and third house energy. So there may be confusion regarding, staying in your place where you are currently, and the need to travel and and experience more things. So maybe your work, your health is kind of restricting your ninth house and third house energies during this time. Now, lunar eclipse does bring blockages in ninth house and third house matter as well, but it also brings deep transformation. So once the eclipse season is over, you will be able to understand and move forward, bring more growth in these areas. Now, Saturn in the sixth house is also squaring Venus and Mercury in your third house in Scorpio. So here there's a need to connect with your inner values. What is important to you in order to make the changes that you want to bring about, make that your driving force to achieve whatever you want to achieve going forward. And also there may be some kind of confusion, negative thinking, some communication issues due to the squaring aspect during this time, but it's very important to connect with your inner values. Now, Saturn is also squaring the nodes, the north and south node in the Taurus Scorpio signs in the ninth and third house for you Virgos. So again, there's a need to break down any ego structure, any past structures, especially in your perception, your belief system, your old knowledge. So there's a need to break those down, and especially the ones that is not helping you grow, is not, advancing you. So definitely there's a need to break those down in order to bring changes and in order to create a better version of yourself going forward, Virgos. Libras, for you, the November lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus occurs in your 8th house. Now, the sun will be in the sign of Scorpio in your 2nd house. So, your 8th house and 2nd house axis is emphasized, is highlighted during this time. Now, 8th house is a house of shared resources, joint finance, shared values. It's a house of intimate bonds. It's a house of transformation, psychological development, the money you generate together. Also, the intimate bonds, connections, where you come together to generate finances for mutual gains and all that. So these are the energies that is highlighted during this eclipse season, Libra. Now, the Taurus Scorpio eclipse season began last year in the year 2021 and will continue into next year as well in 2023. So you will feel this energy next year as well. But during this lunar eclipse, there is a deep transformation, deep changes, even sudden changes occurring in your 8th house matter. Now here is your opportunity, Libra, to release any old energies, because this full moon lunar eclipse is going to throw light on your 8th house matter. matters will be revealed to you during this time, or you will come to realization, understanding or more awareness regarding your eighth house matter. Now, this can lead to growth, advancement in your second house matter. Now, this is your joint finances with your close relationship and all that. So, definitely, there can be some kind of growth in these matters as well. Now, eclipses do bring blockages, so the growth can be a bit slow during this eclipse season. But definitely, going forward, any efforts that was put in the last 6 months, you will see some kind of changes, some kind of movement going forward during this lunar eclipse. Now, the sun is in the second house in the Scorpio sign. So, here the energy is definitely focused on your own personal finance, your own generated wealth as well, your own self worth, and all that. But here there's a need to balance it with your eighth house energy and, trust other people's contribution as well in your life, Libra, during this time. Now, this lunar eclipse, this full moon in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio, is connected with other planetary energies. So, for example, in the sign of Scorpio, along with the sun, there is also Venus and Mercury. And in the sign of Taurus, along with the full moon, there is North Node and Uranus. So the energy of this lunar eclipse is even more intense during this time. Now, this energy of Taurus and Scorpio, these planetary energies, are being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your fifth house. Now, fifth house is a house of your self-expression. It's a house of your children. It's a house of your interest, your passion, what you desire. So that energy may be, kind of squaring off your need for financial well-being or your value system, what you truly value from within. So your self-expression, there may be some kind of blockages, limitations that may be, reflecting on your value system, your financial, your resources, and all that. So Saturn is squaring eighth and second house. So there may be conflicting energies related to your finances, the one you generate yourself and the one that other people contribute in your life. So there can be some kind of limitations here. Now, this Saturn in the fifth house is squaring Venus and Mercury in your second house in the sign of Scorpio. So here there's a need to connect with your inner values. What do you truly desire? What do you truly value, Libras? And that's what you need to focus on. So there's a need to make that inner value your driving force for financial well-being. Now, Saturn is also squaring Mercury, so there can be some kind of negative thinking, thought process, mindset, or limiting mindset, or just miscommunication as well, that may be causing this delay, this limitation. Now, Saturn in the fifth house in Aquarius is also squaring the nodes, both the north and the south in the eighth and the second house. So here definitely there's a need to break down any past ego structures that are not helping you anymore, that is not serving you anymore. It's not helping you to grow, wherever you want to go, the path that you want to go. It's not helping you anymore. So definitely, in order to become a better version of yourself and bring in these financial opportunities, growth, both in yourself, the one you generate yourself, and what other people's bring in your life, both ways. And this can be social finance as well. It doesn't have to be only the joint finance with your spouse or people you're closely connected with. It can be social finances, can be loan, it can be taxes, it can be inheritance, insurance, anything related to money from other people, from other outside energies. All these are going through massive change, but there's a need to break down past energies, past structures, in order to bring these positive movements going forward, Libra. Scorpios, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in the sign of Taurus in your seventh house, and the sun is in your sign in your first house, Scorpios. So your seventh house and first house energy is emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, the Taurus Scorpio eclipse season began last year in the year 2021 and will continue on to next year in the year 2023. So there has been a lot of deep transformation changes in your sense of self, your self-image, how you project yourself, how the world perceives you, and also your relationship matter, your social interaction, your business interaction, partnership, all that. So definitely this lunar eclipse is going to bring intense transformation changes endings, culminations, revelation, realization, more awareness where your relationship is concerned and how you see yourself in relation with others, Scorpio. Now, with the Taurus lunar eclipse, there's an opportunity to trust others, put your trust in other people. Now, with the Scorpio first house energy, with South Node being there, you may be hesitating or maybe a little bit more controlling or relying more on your own energies, your own decisions, your own path. But here, since last year, you're learning to, trust other people as well. And this does give good outcome, positive outcome where relationship is concerned. If you are open to these energies, letting these energies in and, open your mind and you are ready for growth, releasing old energies, especially the one that's just keeping you stuck in old patterns and not allowing you to grow. So definitely this lunar eclipse is going to help you create or build new relationship, or whatever you want in a relationship, the way you want to interact with other people. This is a very good time to bring those deep transformation. Now, eclipses are connected with blockages and limitations. So there may be some kind of limitations as well in creating relationship or creating a sense of self during this time. But as this eclipse season move forward and with this lunar eclipse, which is about ending, old energies are definitely releasing, and you are definitely a little bit more passionate about life. You want new opportunities, you want to take on new partnership, even business partnership, and you definitely want to go on your life journey, your personal priorities, your destiny, your personal qualities, all those energies. You definitely want to build on those, and also any relationship, important relationship in your life. This is the time to really, commit to them, show more affection, and you will have this. Other people will also be contributing to this energy. So you will receive this positive energy from other people as well. There can be opportunity to settle down, there can be more commitment, more affection, more passion from the other side as well during this time. Now, Scorpio, this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus Scorpio is connected with other planetary energies as well. So, for example, in the sign of Scorpio, in your first house, there is Venus and Mercury connecting with the Sun. And in the sign of Taurus, there's North Node and Uranus in your seventh house. So, there's already a lot of intense changes occurring in your first house and seventh house during this time. Now, all these energies in your first and seventh house is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your fourth house, which is the house of your home and family environment. So the Saturn energy may be, posing some limitations, some restrictions in these first house and seventh house energies. So any changes, transformation that you want to bring about in relationship and your sense of self, you may be getting some kind of limitation from your own psyche, from your own emotional self, your own emotional environment, maybe people in your home environment, or it could be just your own inner self, your own psychological, your emotional side is limiting you to make these changes. But definitely this lunar eclipse is going to bring these realization, revelation, will make things a little bit more clearer to move on that path, Scorpios. Now this Saturn in the fourth house is squaring Venus and Mercury in your first house. So here there's definitely a need to connect with your inner values and make that your driving force to make future decisions regarding yourself, what you want for yourself, moving forward. Now, there can be some confusion or miscommunication or negative thinking because of Saturn squaring Mercury in your first house. So, definitely, it's important to connect with your inner value, what you truly value, what you truly desire, Scorpio. Now, Saturn in Aquarius in your fourth house is also squaring the nodes, the North Node in your seventh house and the South Node in your first house. So Saturn here is all about breaking down any old ego structure, especially the one that is not serving you, is not helping you grow. So that is very important. And once you do that, once you release yourself from any kind of past pattern, especially, related to control issues, power issues, and all that, if you release that, then you will be able to, take on new relationship, trust new people, more people, let them in your life, and also, create more opportunities for social interaction, and also create a better version of yourself going forward, Scorpios. Sagittarius, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your sixth house. Now, that's where your Taurus sign is. So, the sun is in the sign of Scorpio in the 12th house. So, your 6th and 12th house energies are emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, a lunar eclipse is accompanied with a full moon. So, it's a time of culmination, ending, realization, revelation, more awareness. So, this is a time when you're creating more awareness regarding yourself, your daily structures, your work, your health matters. Also, any self imposed restrictions, self deceiving patterns, old habits, your subconscious patterns, and all that. So that's where the focus is during this time. Now, the lunar eclipse in your sixth house brings a lot of awareness regarding your daily life, your daily duties, what you do on a daily basis, your work, your health matters, and all that. So, this is a good opportunity to bring about a deep transformation in your sixth house matter. Now, eclipses are about deep transformation. It's about sudden changes, major shift. So that's what you're experiencing in your sixth and 12th house matters, Sagittarius, since 2021. And you will feel this energy in 2023 as well. So definitely there's a need to focus on your work, on your health, bring in new health regime, new diet plan, focus on your well-being, on your mind, body, soul, to bring in this positive energy, positive growth going forward. And if there are any limiting factors, especially with the sun energy in your 12th house, which is a house of your subconscious self-deceiving patterns, old patterns and all that, there's a need to release old habits, especially the ones that is restrict your growth and is not helping you advance spiritually, physically, emotionally, materially, and all that. So definitely there's a need to, in order to bring the stability and security in your life, there's a need to focus on your well-being and focus on creating more awareness regarding yourself, what is best suited for you, Sagittarius. Now this full moon in Taurus and Scorpio is you're connected with other planetary energies. So for example, there's Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio in your 12th house along with the sun, and there is Uranus and North Node in your sixth house in the sign of Taurus. So these planetary energies makes the lunar eclipse even more intense. Now all these energies in Taurus and Scorpio axis is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your third house of communication and connection. So here this Saturn may be posing some limitations, restrictions in any conflicting energies in your 6th and 12th house, which is about your work, health, the need to take a break, retreating if you're feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and all that. So Saturn, which is your communication, connection, and your mindset, your thinking, may be restricting you, to make these progress. Now, Saturn in the third house in the sign of Aquarius is squaring Venus and Mercury in your 12th house in the sign of Scorpio. So here when Saturn squares Venus, there's a need to connect with your inner value, connect with your inner calling, inner self, inner voice, your intuition, and what is of most value to you. What do you value most, Sagittarius, within yourself? So that is what you need to focus on and make that your driving force for the changes, the transformation that you want to bring in your life going forward. Now, there can be some kind of miscommunication or negative thinking, or some kind of confusion because Saturn is squaring Mercury. So definitely again it's important to go back to your inner self, your inner value, what you connect with most, what you value most, and lead from there. Now Saturn will also be squaring North Node and South Node in the 6th and 12th house. So here there's a need to break down any past ego structures, especially the one that is not serving you, not helping you in your own subconscious self, your own limiting factor, your own habits, your own mindset. That's what you're releasing during this time in order to bring this change in your work, health, daily routine, how you connect with your daily environment, daily life, and all that. And it's important to do that in order to bring these long-term changes, these deep transformation, and also to create a better version of yourself, better opportunities, better lifestyle, better better work, health, well-being, your own self, everything. So it's very important to release yourself from old stuck energy, past energies. And this lunar eclipse is going to help you realize, because things will be revealed during this time. Things will come to your awareness that will help you make these progress going forward, Sagittarius. Capricorn, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your fifth house in the sign of Taurus, and the sun will be in the sign of Scorpio in your 11th house. So, your fifth house and 11th house energies are emphasized during this eclipse. Now, the eclipse season in Taurus and Scorpio axis began last year in the year 2021 and will continue on to next year, 2023. So, you have felt this energy since last year. So there's a lot of emphasis on your self-expression, on your creative expression, on your own passion projects, your solo projects, and also what you contribute and bring to the table in a group setup, in a collective environment, in a teamwork. So definitely you're focused on becoming a little bit more involved in your own process, in your what you desire, what you value, where your stability, where your security lies, especially when it comes to expressing yourself. And this can be creatively or affectionately, because fifth house is the house of love, romance, and also your children. So definitely you're going through a change as well, where your children are concerned or your parenting style is concerned. And this lunar eclipse can also bring some kind of news regarding a pregnancy or a childbirth as well, Capricorn. So definitely there is a lot of changes, deep transformation that is being brought about by these eclipses. Now, the lunar eclipse is a time of a full moon, so it's about endings, culmination, realization, revelation, and all that. So definitely how you derive your emotional pleasure, your creative process, all that is coming to more awareness to you. So you are definitely becoming a little bit more awareness regarding what you desire, what your passions are, across the board. Now the sun is in the 11th house, which is a house of collaboration, social setting. It's a house of teamwork, your future plans, hopes and wishes, your professional gains, and all that. So definitely you are eager to be involved in that as well. Now, the focus is definitely on the fifth house matter. It's all about your self-expression, your creative process, more than your, group project or your collaborations during this time. Now, if there are any stuck energies, any energies that is not helping you grow, this is the time to release that as well, and bring about growth going forward. Now, this can be in the way you express yourself, what you desire in your love life. So any energies that's not helping you grow in your relationship, this is also time to think about it, move on from it, so that you can grow if it's limiting you and restricting you, Capricorn. So definitely there's a need for deep transformation going forward where yourself is concerned. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse in the Taurus Scorpio axis is connected with other planetary energies. So, for example, in the sign of Scorpio in your 11th house, there's Venus and Mercury together with the Sun. And in the sign of Taurus, there's North Node and Uranus together with the full moon. So this makes the lunar eclipse even more intense. Now, all these planetary energies in Taurus and Scorpio axis is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your second house. The second house is a house of your accumulated wealth, your personal finance, your value system, and all that. So this energy of Saturn is squaring your fifth house and 11th house energy. Now, when Saturn squares, it can highlight any conflicting energy, especially in the fifth house and 11th house matter. So your money matters, your value system, your inner values, all that may be posing restriction to your need to express yourself, to go solo, to focus on creative projects, solo projects, and even the over reliance on group work or collaborative work that you usually depend on. There's a time. This is a time to release that as well. And this Saturn squaring your 11th house energy may be restricting that as well, because there's a conflict in yourself, between your fifth house and 11th house energy. So you may be wanting to, express yourself and do your own thing, but you may be restricted by these collaborative work, group work, and all that. Now, this Saturn in your second house is going to square Venus and Mercury in the 11th house in the sign of Scorpio. So here it's important to make your inner values, the driving force of any future change or future growth that you want to bring about in your life. And also, the Saturn will be squaring Mercury in the sign of Scorpio during this lunar eclipse. So there can be some kind of confusion or negative thinking or miscommunication that may be limiting you or restricting you even more. So definitely there's a need to release yourself, make a conscious decision to do that. And this lunar eclipse will create that awareness, that inner awareness as well, to focus more on what you desire, what your passions are, and because that's the way you're going to move forward. Now, Saturn in the second house in Aquarius is also squaring the nodes, the north node and the south node during this lunar eclipse. So definitely there's a need to break down any past ego structures, especially the ones that is not helping you anymore in your 5th house and 11th house energies, so that you can bring in more opportunity and create a better version of yourself going forward, Capricorn. Aquarius, for you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your 4th house in the sign of Taurus. So the sun is in the sign of Scorpio in your 10th house. So your 4th house and 10th house energies are emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, the Taurus Scorpio eclipses began last year in the year 2021 and will continue on to next year, 2023. So you will feel this energy next year as well. Now, with this lunar eclipse in the month of November, there's an emphasis on your home and family matters, and also your emotional self, your own psyche, your childhood, your roots, your past, also your home, house matter, real estate, your home environment, and all that. So there's definitely a need and desire to focus more on your home and family matters, even your even your house matters. So you may be redecorating or readjusting or renovating your home, or creating a sanctuary or an environment for yourself. Maybe you need a little bit more privacy during this time, so you may be focused a little bit more on creating that emotional environment, that sanctuary for yourself, which gives you more stability and more sense of security during this time, Aquarius. Now, the sun is in this 10th house, so your career matter is definitely emphasized as well, though the focus is a little bit more on your home matters during this lunar eclipse. Now, the full moon is about culmination, ending, realization, revelation. So something will come to your awareness regarding your own self, your emotional environment, your physical environment, your home, family, all that matter, that will help you bring this deep transformation, deep change that the lunar eclipse is asking for. So anything that you started 6 months ago, or even the entire year, anything that you're working upon where your 4th house is concerned, you will see some kind of movement going forward. Now, it can also mean change of location, or moving to another place, or changing of home due to your career matters. Maybe you're taking on a different job, and that requires you to relocate. So that energy is definitely there, Aquarius, during this time. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse is connected with other planetary energies. So, for example, in the sign of Scorpio, there's Venus and Mercury as well, along with the sun, and there is Uranus and north node in the sign of Taurus along with the full moon. So this lunar eclipse becomes a little bit more intense, more powerful, and this deep transformation is a little bit more intense. So definitely you'll feel this energy very strongly. Now, these planetary energies in Taurus and Scorpio is being squared by Saturn in your sign, in your 1st house. So your own sense of self, your self-image, the way you project yourself or the way you're perceived, is squaring your career matters and your home matters. So the need for external validation and inner contentment is being squared by your own self, your own mindset, your own restriction, your own self-image. So there may be some kind of conflicting energies where your career and home matters are concerned, which is caused by limitations due to your own self-image, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself, how you're projecting yourself as well. So definitely there's a need to release any old patterns, especially the ones that are not serving you, especially in your career matters, because that's where the South Node is in the sign of Scorpio. So you're releasing those energy in order to bring more contentment, more inner fulfillment in your within your emotional self, Aquarius. Now this Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your first house is squaring Venus and Mercury in your 10th house in the sign of Scorpio. So when Saturn connects with Venus in a square aspects, it's all about connecting with your inner value. So what is most important to you in your career matters, Aquarius? That's what you're connecting with, and that is what you should focus on and make it your driving force for the the changes that you want to bring about in your career and home matters. Now Saturn is also squaring Mercury in the 10th house, so again there can be confusion or negative thinking, or just kind of miscommunication and all that, or misunderstanding regarding what you want to be, how you want to project yourself, and your reputation, your public image, your career matters, professional matters, and all that. So again, there's a need to connect with your inner value, what is most important to you, Aquarius. Now this Saturn in your first house is also squaring the nodes, the North Node and South Node in your 4th and 10th house, which is all connected with the lunar eclipse. So again here there's a need to break down any past ego structures that are no longer serving you, no longer helping you. So this is very important in order to bring the growth that you seek, in order to bring the fulfillment, the inner happiness, the inner contentment, and also to become a better version of yourself and bring more opportunities, more stability, more security going forward, Aquarius. Pisces. For you, the November lunar eclipse occurs in your 3rd house in the sign of Taurus, and the sun is in the sign of Scorpio in your 9th house. So your 3rd house and 9th house energies are emphasized during this lunar eclipse. Now, the Taurus Scorpio eclipse season began last year in the year 2021 and will continue on to next year, 2023 as well. So you will feel the energy next year too. Now, the 3rd house is a house of communication, connection. It's a house of your daily environment, your close ties, your local community, neighbors, siblings. It's a house of your thinking, your mindset, short travels, and all that. So when a lunar eclipse, which is all about culmination, understanding, better understanding, more awareness, realization, revelation, endings, and all that occurs in your 3rd house, this is going to be all about your opinion, your perception, your thinking, all that. So anything that you have been working in the last 6 months will come to fruition, or you will see the outcome of that effort. Now, 3rd house is also the house of business dealing, contracts, and all that. So if you have been working on any of those stuff, that you will see some kind of results going forward. Now, eclipses does bring blockages. So you may have been experiencing restriction or blockages in your learning, or perception, your thinking, or any new contracts or business deal, anything that you want to sign, or even traveling, short distance travel and all that, or even within your environment, your neighbors and all that. There may be some kind of blockages in connecting with them as well. So again here, this is going to release that, because you will come to awareness, some kind of awareness will come to you that will help you readjust your thinking and make the changes, the deep transformation that this lunar eclipse is asking you to make. This is your opportunity, Pisces, to make that change. Now sun is in the 9th house, so the 9th house is a house of belief system, your philosophies, is a house of knowledge, wisdom, is a house of adventure, new experiences, higher learning, and all that. So with the sun, with the sun there's an emphasis on that, definitely. So there's a need to find a harmony between your opinion, your own thinking, and larger perspective, other people's opinion and all that, which is a 9th house matter. So that's where you're finding in harmony during this lunar eclipse, Pisces. Now, this lunar eclipse full moon in Taurus and Scorpio is connected with other planetary energies. So, for example, there's Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio along with the Sun, and there's Uranus and North Node in the sign of Taurus along with the full moon. So this makes this lunar eclipse even more intense, even more powerful. So the deep transformation that you are about to make, or the universe is nudging you to make, is very intense, very powerful. So definitely this is a time to release old energies, old ways of doing things or thinking, and bring in new growth. Now these Taurus and Scorpio planetary energies is being squared by Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your 12th house. Now 12th house is a house of your subconscious self, your old habits, your old patterns, past patterns and all that, self-deceiving patterns as well. So here there's definitely a restriction, and you're going through a karmic experience with your past habits, past patterns, old self, subconscious self, limiting self as well. And you're releasing all that in order to bring that change going forward when Saturn moves in your first house in March 2023. So here with this Saturn squaring the Taurus and Scorpio energies, you may be feeling some kind of restrictions, or there may be conflicting energies, conflicting drives that you have to choose between or find a path forward. And you may be faced with challenges or delays during this time that you have to overcome, especially in the way you communicate, connect, and your perception, other people's opinion, your thinking, your mindset. There's a need to be open-minded during this time, and think differently as well. Bring a change in your thinking. That's where the deep transformation is occurring, Pisces. Now the Saturn in Aquarius in your 12th house is squaring Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio in your 9th house. So here there's a need to connect with your inner values. What is most important to you? And that's what you're connecting to, because that is going to bring about the change, the growth. And it's important to make that as your driving force to bring the changes, the growth, the advancement that you seek going forward. Now Saturn is also connecting with Mercury in a square aspect, so there can be confusion, or there can be negative thinking, or even miscommunication around this time that may be holding back this growth that you are seeking within yourself, in your thinking, your mindset, your outlook, in your environment, with close ties, relatives, all that, and in your learning as well. So there may be some kind of restriction due to your own negative thought process during this time. Now this Saturn is going to square the North Node and the South Node in the 3rd and 9th house in the Taurus and Scorpio axis. So with Saturn squaring the nodes, there's a need to break down any old ego structures, especially in the way you communicate, connect, your thinking, your perception, and all that. And it's very important to do that in order to create a better version of yourself, bring more growth, more opportunities, more connection, more communication going forward, Pisces.